Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast, career advice from people in the business. This week, I'm speaking to filmmaker Tom Malloy. Tom has a huge string of credits. Starting as an actor, he then went on to produce films, he's written and sold screenplays, he's raised finance for movies, and he's also directed. I asked Tom about his route into the industry, and we also went through the whole process of production with all of his tips on writing, casting, financing, production, sales and distribution, and film festivals for anyone wanting to work on their debut feature. Enjoy. Talk me through your route into filmmaking.
Well, I was always had it in my mind to be an actor from the time I was really young. And I did a film in 1998, I believe, called Gravesend. And we shot it. It was my first, like acting experience other than the stage. And, I've been performing on stage as a little kid. Um, but I was 19 and we shot on the streets of Brooklyn. And we would just go up to a street corner. There'd be a gang of thugs, and we'd be like, "You guys want to shoot a fight scene?" And they'd be like, "Yeah," and a big fights would break out. And but when it was done, we got Oliver Stone to put his name on the movie, and so it was in theaters.
Wow.
That being said, when that came out, I thought, "Oh wow, I'm never going to have to be anything but an actor." And when that didn't happen, a couple years later, I just decided I didn't want to be a waiter or bartender. I wanted to learn everything else about filmmaking. So I just decided to be an actor, writer, producer when no one was doing that. I remember I had an agent at the time that said, well, you have to focus on one of those things. And I guarantee that same agent now would say, you have to do everything. You can't just be one of those things. And so I kind of trailblazed that. And so that's the beginning part. But then that was the foray into it. And now I've just produced my 27th movie. I've options sold, made movies, 25 of about 30 so scripts. And, I own Glasshouse Distribution, a distribution company. And so, yeah, rolling along. And I've been in, maybe 40 movies as an actor. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can attest to that because I do my usual bit of digging on
Yeah.
IMDb, and it's a very full
Yeah.
page. Your
It's all
page, there's a
credits.
lot of credits, a lot of films, a lot of
Yes.
productions, and obviously you've got your YouTube channel, podcast, course, all on
Yeah.
filmmaking. So I thought what I would do is we would go through making a film. We're going to make a film
Hmm.
together, and I'm going to I'm going to ask you for some tips along
Sure.
the way, if that's all
Yes.
right.
Yes, of course.
So, okay, so the first and most obvious one for me is I'm writing a script. What are some of the mistakes people make at that point in the process?
I'd say one of the first mistakes that they make is that they don't take time to read scripts beforehand, especially reading scripts in the same genre as whatever they're trying to make. I'll still do that. I've been in the Writers Guild for
Hmm.
20 plus years. I will still do that. If you commission me to write, like for example, there was just recently these guys asked me to potentially write a script about a hockey team in the US and the true story behind it. Before I write that, if it comes to fruition, I'll read one or two films if I can find something about hockey, but it's something about like building a sports franchise script. And so that I go, okay, that's how it's laid out, especially a successful one, a one that you really like. But so
Yeah,
that's really, it's not like you're copying it or anything, but you're just getting an idea of how that flowed, and that's successful. So why not try to model it somewhat in the same structure and the same tone and all that?
yeah, agreed. Reading scripts is good, and also it can be really good experience reading a script as well. It's kind of like reading a book really quickly. You can quite enjoy, especially if it's like an
Yeah.
Oscar-winning
It's
script. There's a
It's
lot to
great,
learn.
and it's funny. So many people that I wrote a script, and I go, hey, how much do you read scripts? They said, well, I don't read scripts, and it's like that's the equivalent of like I just this morning I was at the dentist. That's the equivalent of like watching them and going, I could do this. You know what I mean? Like you're not, So people watch a movie and they get an idea for a cool movie in their head, and then they just decide that they're going to do it, and it's like you really should learn the the rules first about screenwriting and go into it that way. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking about this script, even at that stage, genre. I'm making a low budget film, by the way. I'm making a
Yeah,
micro low
yeah,
budget film. Does genre matter? What should I be aiming at a
a
genre or
hundred
not?
percent. The one thing that I would say is like I tell people make an action movie. I know it's tough, micro budget, but horror, thriller, sci-fi, or if you really want to do a drama or you really want to do a comedy, make them vanilla. Like I just produced a comedy and there was like no curse words, no sex, no nothing in it because those are sellable worldwide. The joke is everybody wants to make the edgy drama and the edgy comedy. Like every first filmmaker wants to make that edgy drama with the cursing and the sex and the drugs and all that stuff. And those are the least likely to sell and make sales. So I just say, just try to stay away from those. Okay, fine, make a drama, but make it a more family friendly. And it doesn't have to be all, wine and roses or whatever, but it has to be at least, to just pull back on the cursing, pull back on the drug and the sex use. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's what I would say.
And is that probably putting your distribution and sales
Yes.
hat on? Is that because the buyers don't want that, or the streaming platforms, they don't want swearing, they don't want
Well,
nudity,
I'd say
or
that it's more for, say there's some of the streaming platforms, yes, but then also it's more for international sales. It's like
mm,
the second you have an edgy drama, it's just you're killing your sales in the Middle East, you're killing your sales in Africa, you're killing your sales in China. If it's harder and harder to sell to China these days, but those were things that you just like they have a censor board and you can't get past those. So why not set yourself up for more success and still try to tell your story without putting all that edginess in it? It's just they don't play even US. They're very tougher. They're much tougher to sell.
mm, interesting. And then going on to, so I've got my script, I've chosen my genre. My least favorite part of the whole process, raising finance. Give me, what's the magic bullet for that?
Well, gee, I don't know what if I can give you one magic bullet. I wrote the book on film financing called Bankroll, and that was the bestseller of 2008 and 2012. Now everything's on filmmaking stuff, which is we put it all online, and I'm sure that's like, yeah, that's right. You found me through filmmaking stuff
Mm,
HQ, which is the membership site. And what I tell people is that film investment is very fun for high net worth individuals, HNIs. If you get them involved, you get them excited, but at the same time, you have to make it make sense. You have to structure a project in a way where it just makes sense that it's potentially going to make money, and that's not you as a filmmaker going, well, I'm going to do this for $1 million. Why $1 million? Well, because that's the budget I thought of, and I'm going to cast unknowns but really good actors, and I'm going to make my edgy drama, and it's going to win the Oscar. And if you do that, great, congratulations, you've proven me wrong. But most likely, you're going to lose somebody a lot of money, and then you're going to be looking for other investors. So try to make a viable project that makes sense. And if you can make a project where it makes sense on paper, investors start to pop up. It just becomes irresistible. So,
mm. And is there a sweet price point, do you think, or budget level for micro and low budget?
well, a lot of it depends on the scope of the movie, meaning, how many characters, locations, everything. But I would say these days it's like you have to almost look at it. I look at it like three cogs, right? Like you have this big gear, and I have like I have a studio project it's a slow gear that's 30 million and up. Then you have those medium ones, and I did two of those last year where I ended up bringing some money to. I was one of the EPs, and then maybe anywhere from the $2 to $5 million range. And those you really need a studio behind it even today. Now, I don't mean a huge studio, but like a Tubi or a Hulu or an Amazon, somebody like that that's going to jump on. The micro budgets, God, the joke is it just keeps getting less and less. If this was 5 years ago, I would have said under 300,000. If this was 10 years ago, I would say under $1 million. Now I'm going to say, to be smart, under 50, 60,000. I did a course on filmmaking stuff called Backyard Blockbuster. And that's what I was talking about. It was that, you could pull a great movie together for that price if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've got my money, I've raised my finance, thank God. Now I'm on to
Yeah.
casting. Any tips for that? And do you think I should be going after names? What give me some
Well,
advice.
a lot of times with the micro budgets, it's tough to do like the union. But if you're out in UK, maybe you could get around that. Get around the Screen Actors Guild. But there are some people that work non-union. They work FICOR, and they'll do non-union as well as union stuff. So much of it is relationships. Like this last movie I did was a small film, the vanilla type comedy, and so I reached out to a couple of my union friends. I said, "This is non-union, just FYI." And the two that I know, they were well-known actors. They didn't want to do it, but some don't mind. They may be FICOR, they may just not care. It's okay, people need to understand the union can't do anything to your film. They could theoretically go after the actor, but they don't. They I've never heard one person ever getting in trouble. But they go after if they were doing it for big money. But anyway, long story short is that it, getting celebrities and names, yes, you should. I mean, how do I do it? When it's super low, relationships, just friends, and I'm in that kind of scene, and I'm out in Los Angeles, so those are the things. But if you do more markets and film festivals, you start to formulate these relationships. But it all goes down to them believing in the script and you as a director slash filmmaker. That's what they have to believe in. And then actors want to work in good projects. Doesn't matter the money, especially if they're celebrities. They don't care as much about the money. They care about good projects.
Yeah, very true. So in this imaginary project, I'll skip to production, and I know I can't ask you for a million tips for production because that's a big chunk. But what is there? Is there anything you wish you'd known before you started making films about the production process?
Well, specifically to the production process, I would say this is funny. Don't get too excited when you're shooting. I think that everybody does, and I've seen it now with when I produce a movie and somebody, it's their first movie, some investor, some filmmaker, and it's like I just remember reading years ago in Michael Caine's great book, Acting in Film, that everybody like buys the yachts and Ferraris when they're shooting, and then they sell it all when they see the assembly edit. And it's true. I mean, my friend Ison Robbins, a producer, said he's never not cried in an assembly edit. But I know that's a joke. But the key is once you see it, it's like you go, there's a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? And it's almost like you're trying to make this statue of David and you see the assembly and it's a big rock that might have starts of the shape of a head and starts of a shape. And then you go, okay, we got to edit this. And that's when you realize filmmaking is an editor's medium, and that you have to understand that's really what counts, is how they put that together. You can take the best dailies ever and make a horrible movie, and you can take mediocre dailies and make something that's awesome.
Yeah, very true. I've been in that situation myself where you've come home, you've cut it together, and you've gone, "Oh no, what is this?" And then you spend the whole
Yeah, like,
year
oh,
sort
I
of
wish I
perfecting
shot
it.
that,
And
or I wish I did that. Yeah, it's tough and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in the editing suite, that's grim. So then, say I've cut my film together, pleased with it. Film festivals for micro budget. Is it worth doing film festivals?
It's a good question. Is it depends on how you're defining worth. Like if it's worth, is it worth it for you as a filmmaker to meet people and get connections and get awards and things? Yes. Is it worth it for sales of the movie? Probably not, unless you're in the top 5 to 10 film festivals. There's just a very small list and very tough to get into. So I would say do it for different reasons. If you're believing in that old tale of like, go to Sundance, get the bidding war, and it's like, yeah, that happens one out of 300,000 movies. And so it's, to me, it's do that, but at the same time focus on the distribution, you're going to film markets and meeting the sales and distribution people and getting a sales agent on board, getting a distributor on board, and thinking about it from a marketing perspective, like how are you going to get that film out there and making money. So
Yeah. And so you brought up film markets. Obviously, AFM's coming up, which is one I've not been to
oh
before. Tell me about AFM. What would I expect? Is it worth a filmmaker
yes.
going, first of all, and what should they expect and what should they be
Yes,
doing?
well, I haven't been there either, except for 20 years in a row. So no,
Oh right. Oh
yeah, I
God.
literally no. I went the first time in 2005, and I'm like, I'll never not go to this. I was just like, I enamored, and now, funny enough, I'll be in Cannes Friday. I leave Friday, and I'll be there till the 24th or 25th, and that's for MIPCOM, which is another market and more TV oriented market. But yeah, AFM for a filmmaker, walking in, it's just like you feel like it's the New York Stock Exchange of the movie business, and it's really where you see, you think, oh, I have this idea for a chainsaw horror movie, and then you walk in to where it used to be in the Lowe's, and you see posters for 20 other chainsaw horror movies, and you go, oh, okay, and so I think it's very important, in my estimation, for a filmmaker to experience that, or can maybe not Berlin as much. Berlin's a little bit more targeted, but I would say Marché du Film in Cannes in May, or the American film market, just to go there and go, okay, this is how the business side of it works. So then you can kind of start to back in and understand the process, because as a filmmaker, as a director, a producer, something like that, many of them don't understand that. They just, oh, we'll put $1 million in this movie, we'll make an edgy drama. It's like, yeah, and then we'll just, we'll take it to Sundance, we'll win Sundance, we'll get 20 million done. And it's like, that's not a plan, and it's not going to happen. So if you understand the market aspect of it, you could probably be way more prepared.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say I'm similar to you, but mine is Cannes, because obviously it's a lot closer. So that's where I would used to go every single year. Absolutely love it. And I think also it's such an energy boost as well when you come out of there and you're surrounded by creatives, surrounded by people who are also making movies.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I used to say like Cannes, and I think I've been 12 times there. And but I used to say I'd come back with a stack of business cards. Now there's not as many business cards because a lot of people are doing digital stuff. But it's but either way, you just you got that feeling of these are people that are doing stuff, and I want to be part of it. So no, I love the motion film. I mean, it'd be tough for me to miss that. Yeah, I love it.
Which out of the two, which do you think is better for a micro budget filmmaker, Cannes or AFM?
For an American micro budget filmmaker, or I'd even extend that to a UK. So I'd say an English speaking movie. I'd say American film market is better. Because if you have a foreign, if you're a French movie, if you're a Spanish movie, no, I definitely can. But anything with English speaking movie, I would say AFM is just better. That's because the buyers know that's what's going to be there.
Yeah, interesting. So so sales and distribution, again, that's a dangerous part of the process because you can really mess up there. What are your tips for that?
Well, do your research on each company. It's like if you go to Cinando, CINANDO, that's the database of the film sales agents and distributors. So look and see what movies they've done. And then I always say that I just put this in an email to somebody, like never ask for references. And in fact, in general, that's a dumb practice because no one's going to give you bad references. If you ask me for references, I'm going to give you people that are going to speak highly of me. So it's better to just look and see the movies, find out who the producers is, and reach out to those people. I'm guaranteed they'll be happy to say if they had a good experience or a bad experience with that company. And so if you do that, you get some kind of perspective on it. So that's your best way to check them out. I don't believe the kind of filmmaker belief, for lack of a better word, that there are sales agents, distributors out to screw them. I think that probably, there's 5 or so that might be unscrupulous, but in most cases, filmmakers don't realize sometimes that there's nothing they can do with the movie. You made a movie about some Shakespeare and you updated it. You put all kinds of curses and stuff, and you're mad when the statement says you only made $5,000, and it's like, the distributor screwed me. It's like, no, they didn't do anything. They tried their best. I remember we have 193 movies now, and I think about all the movies that we also had. We had one edgy drama that I really liked, but it was kind of a street drug type movie. And those filmmakers just thought their movie was going to make millions of dollars. And we were excited about it, but everybody passed on that movie. Everybody passed. But they got, they kind of flipped out on us afterwards, like, you screwed us, that type of thing. And they were the film that we said, after this, we're going to show every filmmaker all the meetings we took where they requested your movie. Because it's like, I could show you 30 companies and we got 0 sales. That ain't on us, dude. These are 30 companies that we pitched the hell out of your movie. Like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They all watched the screener, blah, blah, blah. So since those idiots, we obviously let their film go. But from now on, we take every movie, we show all the meetings that we did where they requested it. So that if you get 0 sales, it's like, no, we did our job. It's like the buyers just, for some reason, didn't fit their schedule. The movie didn't flow. They just didn't, wasn't right. Their budgets were, that's why they didn't pick it up. So.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to know. And I wish maybe more sales and distribution were that open with that information. Because I guess as a filmmaker, sometimes it is frustrating. Yeah. Obviously you hand your film over and you just cross your fingers and hope they're out there pushing it for you. So you don't sometimes get that real-time feedback to.
Well, that's why, I started the company with a guy named Brian Glass, and that's why it's called Glass House, but it became the double entendre of full transparency. We go, here it is. You can see everything going on inside and just watch us doing it. And so, we try to do stuff that's a little bit different so people can feel like at least because I found that many times, or at least most times, as long as you're communicating with the filmmakers, then they're okay if it's not a success. They get it. It's unfortunate, but then they get it. But it's when you're hiding that information or you're unreachable, that's where the filmmakers start to freak out.
Yeah, definitely. And going into AFM, is there any particular type of film or genre that you think's gonna sell well?
Well, always action. It's just hilarious that every buyer we go, so say it's a new buyer, we don't know them. We go, what genres are you looking for? The first word out of their mouth is, oh, action. It's like, it's so funny that they say that. Again, that's the hardest to shoot micro budget, but if you can find a way to do it, you probably have some potential money on your hand, because we even had a couple action movies that were not good and they still made a lot of money. So yeah.
Oh, really? So are you, when you're talking, how much action have I got to put in it to call it an action? Has it got to have martial arts? Has it got to have guns?
Well,
in it?
one or the other or both. It's yes is the answer, because I'm thinking of another movie that tried to approach us as an action movie that was really a drama with a little bit of gunplay. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, it's not an action movie. But I'd say that. But the joke is that movie still did sell okay, because the trailer was heavily action oriented. But I would say, yeah, it has to have 20-30% shooting and martial arts in it to make it action. So.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you'd like to hear from more industry professionals, how they got into the business and how you can do the same, or you just want to listen to some cool stories from movie sets around the world, then please do subscribe to the Honest Filmmaker podcast.